sports and gaming. And it is time for an episode of Mazique Speaks. This is something that I haven't really been doing all that regularly, but I want to start doing it, just kind of talking about what's on my mind, what's going on in the world of sports and gaming, which is where I thrive. So if you want to connect with me, you want to follow what I do on social media, the Twitter handle and the Instagram handle, which is something I'm trying to get a little bit better with. I haven't really been all that good with Instagram, really, if I'm being honest. So I'm trying to get a little bit better with that. So there's the handle there for both of those social media platforms. And of course, if you're watching this, you're already on my YouTube channel. And if you haven't yet done it, subscribe. And also leave your boy a like. That helps a lot. I would appreciate it. And if, as usual, and if you are familiar at all with my podcast that I do with Nelson Blake II, at me, bro. The same way those segments get cut up and we push those out, you'll see these, whatever we talk about here, or whatever I talk about here, end up getting cut out and put onto a separate segment as well. Now, most people are used to me interacting with the chat and that sort of thing when I go live. When I do this particular thing, Mazique Speaks, I won't actually be looking at the chat. So you are free to leave me comments or shoot me a message or whatever, and I'll try to get to those later on. But for this particular thing, I'm just kind of going straight through. I can't stop. I gotta let it go. I gotta get it popping, right? I gotta get it popping. So the first thing I want to talk about is my Chicago Cubs, right? My Cubs are struggling mightily. Started off the season won the first game of the season 12-4. We were swinging the bats really well. Javi Baez homered twice in the opening day. John Lester didn't pitch. He didn't pitch horrible, but he pitched obviously well enough for the Cubs to win. But my question right now, and it even just is, I'm not asking it to a particular person, just in general. Is it too early to worry about this Cubs pitching staff? Because the starters through 3 games have already given up 10 earned runs. Okay. The bullpen has given up another 13 earned runs. And as a total, the Cubs pitching staff has given up 7 home runs. So they've given up double-digit runs in the last 2 games. And I mean, I'll give the bats credit. The Cubs offense is not an issue, which has been a problem throughout Joe Maddon's tenure. They've had these periods where they haven't hit or haven't been able to score runs. That has not been a problem. They've had a problem getting guys out. I don't know what to say about you, Darvish. It's just the first start, but 2 2/3 innings and getting bombed out. I mean, like, it ain't good, bro. It's not good. And please, and I'm speaking as a Cubs fan, and if anybody's watching this, they might be wondering why. If you're such a diehard Cubs fan, why do you have a Pirates hat on? I tell people this all the time. If you're just not getting up on this, I don't wear hats and like hoodies, or it's weird. Definitely not hats though. But I don't wear hats of the teams that I like. I just wear hats of the hats that I like. So if I like a hat, I'll wear it. I could hate the team. Like, it's only hat it would be like kind of difficult for me to wear is like a St. Louis Cardinals hat. But I probably would still wear it if I liked it enough. But in terms of jerseys, when I wear a player's jersey, then I only wear a player's jersey that I like. I would never wear a player jersey that I'm not a fan of that player. So just a little brief thing to throw out there, so in case you're wondering. But dude, Tyler Chatwood, what is? I mean, like last year he was an absolute dumpster fire as a starting pitcher, right? Just terrible. And through I think it's one appearance, might be 2. But his ERA is 16.1 already. I know it's early, but gee whiz, we are getting bombed, man. I mean, it is bad. So tonight, actually, it should have already started. The Cubs and Atlanta Braves. So Braves are 0-3, so they've had their troubles starting off the season. So I don't know, man. I'm really interested in seeing what I hope the Cubs get a better pitching performance tonight. They should. They actually have their most consistent pitcher on the mound. I don't know why it is that Joe Maddon doesn't respect Kyle Hendricks. I don't know, because he doesn't have a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. I don't know what it is, but he never treats Kyle Hendricks like the guy that he has, to me, shown himself to be. So he's a fourth pitcher in this rotation. You know, and he'll probably go out there and throw and pitch the best game of the season for the Cubs. So at some point, the Cubs will treat him like an ace, I guess, even though he's been pitching like one for the last 2 seasons almost. So we'll see what happens. But that's my thing with the Cubs. I don't know. Is it too early to worry about the Cubs pitching? I mean, I guess it's not too early because I'm already worried. So I guess I answered my own question there. But let's move on. We're jumping around a little bit here with these topics. Let's talk about Devin Booker. Devin Booker is acting a complete fool out there. So this past week, he scores 56, 50, and then 48. Made exactly 19 field goals in all of those games. He's having a great. I don't want to get into the numbers just yet because I got a point. Devin Booker did not win Player of the Week, despite having 3 games where he averaged over 3 games with almost 50 points, with 2 games with 50, 1 game almost with 50. Did not get Player of the Week. So here's who got Player of the Week. Damian Lillard got Player of the Week. Now clearly, this is a heck of a week too. 25 points, 5.8 rebounds, 7.3 assists, 3 3-pointers made. But here's the key, and I think this is how they decided that Devin Booker was, that Damian Lillard was going to get the Player of the Week. Now, it's just Player of the Week. It's not like league MVP. But, you know, an award is an award. The Blazers were 3-1 last week. You know what the Suns' record was last week? It was 0-3. So, despite the fact that Devin Booker averaged 52.3 points per game, shot just under 48% from 3, grabbed 5.6 rebounds, and shot just under 62% from the field. Despite those numbers, he did not win the Player of the Week because his team was 0-3. Now, I don't know. I really want to know in the comment section. I want to know in the chat, do you guys think that that means that he was snubbed? Do you think that a week where you average over 50 a game across 3 games should warrant you the Player of the Week regardless, right? But I understand Player of the Week is an absolute individual award, but it's hard for me to say you're the Player of the Week and you weren't ever a good enough player to get your team at least 1 win, not even 1. So I can't subscribe to the concept or to the thought process that he was snubbed because he didn't. And I know Phoenix sucks. And I know he is the only flashlight in a tunnel of darkness in Phoenix. I get it. I understand that. And obviously he did everything that he could do. But you didn't win any games, bro. Like any? Like not any of them? Like, I mean, okay, to his credit, and I guess the Phoenix's credit, the last 2 games of the season, or the last 2 games of the week were close. But yeah, man, I don't know. I mean, I think it's tough, right? Because you look at Lillard's stats for last week, and while they were good, they clearly they pale in comparison to Devin Booker's. I mean, like, it would be different if you had a dude that averaged 35 and 8 and 7, you know, a Harden week, and it was close. And, you know, okay, then you had the same record situation. Then it's easy. You say, oh, well, you know, he had a fantastic week too, you know, and his team won. It's easy. But I think the real eye-popping aspect of this one is that the stats were so off, so different. And that's why I do think that some people who are talking about Devin Booker perhaps being snubbed may have a point, because I mean, I can't say that I 100% agree, but I get it, right? I get where they're coming from with this, because it is a really big difference. It's a huge difference. So, you know, it's a tough one. It's definitely a tough one, but I would venture to still say I can't give it to somebody who you know, I can't give it to somebody who didn't win a game at all. So are we still a little bit low here on the mic? Because I hear you guys saying that it was low. This is what happens when you don't look at the chat immediately. Is it still low? Okay, let's see if we can get that together. Is that still low, or is that better? Test, mic test. Aaron P said, ASMR sporting news. No change. Okay, let's see what we got here. Uh, we should. How about now? Whoa, that's loud. Still low, and we're getting an echo as well. Testing, testing. How's that? That's good. Okay, cool. All right, so the first part of this show is pretty much a wash. Nobody heard you. I was dropping some serious knowledge and y'all didn't even hear me. So I guess that's what it is. So let me see something now. Is it how is it now? Is it I need to make sure that these levels are cool. You guys are helping me moving forward. So right now, how does it sound? Is it good? That's still bad, or is that good? All right, let's go. For, I think when we had it here, it was good, but all right, we good. Cool. All right, well let's pick this back up. All right, so the next thing I wanted to talk about is actually pretty serious. Kristaps Porzingis was accused of rape by a young lady, and this was supposedly to happen the night he tore his ACL in in back last season in February. I got to take the double off. And essentially, there was this picture painted of it, and I really don't want to misquote this situation. So I'm going to go into the report, and this report came from ESPN. And it basically says that 8 months after a 29-year-old woman said that NBA star Kristaps Porzingis raped her inside his apartment, She contacted the New York Knicks legal department to seek to mediate in private a payment of $68,000, according to emails obtained by ESPN. At the time of the woman's documented communication with the Knicks legal staff, which was late October through early November, no criminal complaint had been filed with the New York police. The Knicks eventually referred the woman to Porzingis' personal legal representation. Now, ESPN did their own investigation, I guess, and they obtained a series of text messages between the woman and Porzingis, as well as emails between her and the Knicks. The text and the emails portray a woman who wanted to pursue a romantic relationship with Porzingis in the aftermath of the alleged assault in February of 2018, but who also wanted him to honor what she says was a commitment to contribute $68,000 to a college fund for her brother. Now, according to the emails, the woman who lived in the same apartment building as Porzingis told the Knicks that she went to Porzingis' apartment to get his autograph in the late night hours after Porzingis suffered a serious knee injury at Madison Square Garden on February 6, 2018. Now, after the woman told the Knicks, after what the woman told the Knicks was an extremely aggressive encounter, she said that Porzingis agreed to co-sign a statement with her that promised his payment of $68,000. So there's a lot there, but I think essentially, you kind of get the gist of what's being painted here. I don't want to say. Here's the one thing. You have to be careful when you start like victim bashing, and when you jump up and you say stuff like, oh man, these ladies, they are out here bad. You got to really be careful with that, because that's the same type of mentality that discourages people who have really been victims of rape to come out with their story, because it makes them a little, gun shy. Because if something like that ever happens to a person, the level of embarrassment and shame, you may not realize that that's what a person who's been raped feels, but they do feel like an embarrassment and a shame. And you have to really be careful, because you're playing with something very sensitive. On the other end of that, there are people who take advantage of those types of situations. And I'm not saying that that's what this woman is. Of course, according to the information that we're seeing now, it's starting to look that way. But I can't say that because I don't have all of the information. But there are people who try to take this type of situation, take advantage of this type of situation. And they try to take advantage of people and who are in a certain type of financial situation, so that they can, basically extort money from them. And it's really a shame. And I'm we see this happen with athletes a lot. We see it happen with just celebrities, period. But I'm of the opinion, man, that if an accuser is proven to be, if there's evidence that can be obtained that proves that a person has lied about this type of an accusation and has tried to put somebody in this type, I think that there should be actual criminal charges. And I think those people who make these false accusations, and I'm not saying that that's what this woman is doing. I don't know. It looks like that's the picture that's being painted. But I think that if a person has been proven to be doing something of this nature, I think that they should face sex crime charges, and that sort of thing should go on their record. Because here's the thing. When you accuse a person of this, when a man gets an accusation of some sort of sexual assault or rape or anything like that, even when he is proven guilty, there is a stigma that goes along with that man for really forever, right? Even if somehow it gets, wiped away and people are like, oh, that didn't happen or whatever, it gets proven some sort of way, or the case gets thrown out or something to that effect, there's always still this thing that lingers about that person. And it's in the back of people's mind every time they see this person. And it's really unfair that an accusation can result in something like that, especially for a person of prominence publicly, because it just it's tough. It's tough, right? So I think that if something like that happens, man, they're really if a person is proven to be lying, you know, uh, I think there needs to be some severe consequences for that. And simply being able to sue a person like that really doesn't do any good, because probably if this person was trying to extort money from someone, they probably don't have anything to offer. So now it's a situation where, oh, you got a chance to hurt me, but there were really no consequences for you because you didn't have anything to that would, you have no money to lose essentially. So I just really think it's an unfortunate situation, and I did kind of want to touch on that. But we're gonna go to something much lighter. We talk about these new NBA 2K19 ratings that just dropped. It seems like every superstar went down, and like the middle tier people or the young guys went up. So LeBron's, who just got shut down for the season, I think the Lakers should have shut him down maybe about 2 weeks ago. They probably should have shut him down the day they got eliminated. But LeBron went down a point. Steph went down a point. Kevin Durant went down a point. Russell Westbrook and Paul George went down a point, and Nikola Jokic all went down a point. Uh, there were a couple guys who had a big jump, like Colin Sexton had I think a +2 jump, and then usually the people who you see get the biggest player ratings jump is always a guy who barely plays, or who wasn't playing early in the season, or he just got, he was a late add to a roster. And then you look up and you see the person has, at first he had like a 67, but now they've been playing, and you see that they're a regular part of a rotation on a team, and now they get bumped up to a 74. So you see this 5 or 6 point jump, but they're still essentially not a real impact player in the game. So those guys usually get Christian Wood was one guy who got a huge jump, and Jalen Brunson got a pretty big jump for this particular rating. But Trae Young went up +2 to an 84 overall. Trae Young had a really good March basically. He averaged like 23 and a half points a game. I believe it was 9.5 assists. He still has some work to do from an efficiency standpoint for sure, but he pushed Luka Doncic, I think, for rookie of the year, but not enough to overtake him. Not enough to overtake him, but he did push him, I think. And it's really interesting, I think, that he pushed him considering they got traded for each other. So I thought that was definitely an interesting. It was interesting the way that shook out. But I don't think that anybody nobody involved in that trade is upset with it, right? The Hawks got to be happy with what they got, and we know Dallas is happy with what they got. Being able to pair Doncic with Porzingis next year, as long as everything works out with him physically and from a legal standpoint, they have a dynamic duo of sorts. And the Hawks have something similar as well with John Collins and Trae Young. And then they have a spot up shooter with Kevin Huerter, who is who has some potential to be a nice, floor spreading type of a guy. So, we'll see what happens, and we'll see what both of those teams end up getting out of the lottery. But yeah, Trae Young is the big winner, I think, from this most recent NBA 2K19 ratings update. So we flying through. I only got about 3 more topics that I want to touch on before I bounce out of here. I'm going to watch some Raw in a few minutes. I'm going to probably be about 15 minutes behind, but that's what DVRs are for. All right, next up, we're going to talk some boxing, guys. Let's talk some boxing. Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman, according to Mike Coppinger of Fox Sports, and I'm going to tell you guys right now, if you're looking for the person who is the man when it comes to breaking news in boxing right now, Fox Sports Mike Coppinger he got the goods. I'm trying to tell you. So he's on a level now where he is Adrian Wojnarowski-ish. He's got a Woj factor with him right now with the way he's breaking news and utilizing inside sources. So he says that the Pacquiao-Thurman fight is in advanced talks and that it will probably take place in July, right? So that's the date that they're looking at. For me personally, I think this is a really bad fight for Pacquiao. Now, I wrote about this earlier today on Forbes. I think that it's a major risk for Pacquiao, and here's the reason why. Manny is 40. Okay, he as great of a career he is, as great of a career as he's had, and as good as he looked against Broner and Lucas Matisse, fighting Thurman. Even though Thurman didn't look great in January against Josecito Lopez, he looked great early, and then of course he got caught and kind of had to struggle through the remainder of the fight. But we're talking about a guy who is 10 years younger than Manny, from a size standpoint, much bigger, has speed. He has that dangerous combination of speed and power. Keith Thurman is a problem, man, especially for Manny. And to me, for a guy like Manny at 40 years old, looking for like the last 2 to 3 fights of your career before you walk away, this is not the kind of fight that you want to be having. You know, this is, unless the payday for the fight is Mayweatherish, which is what Manny really wanted. See, I really think Manny got duped, right? I'm going to let y'all in on something. I think Manny got duped because Manny signed with Al Heyman, Premier Boxing Champions, and I believe that Manny signed there under the auspice that he was going to get a shot at Floyd Mayweather. And I think that's how they lured him in. And they, pretty much knew there were going to be a ton of paydays that they were able to get off Manny. And he got there, and Floyd's been non-committal about a rematch, the second rematch that everybody he's wanting, and that is going to be a big money rematch. Floyd's been non-committal, and they first tried to get Manny in the ring with Errol Spence, which is a really bad idea as well. Probably even maybe an even worse idea than fighting Keith Thurman. And this is just a bad fight. I really don't want to. Manny has become one of my, if not my favorite fight. He's probably my favorite fighter at this point. And I just don't want to see him take that kind of damage at this stage of his career. This is not the way you want to end. A lot of fighters take the type of physical damage at the end of their careers that really affects their lives moving forward in these last few fights, the last few that they had or that they took that they probably shouldn't have taken. And I don't want to see that happen to Manny. He doesn't have to do this. Manny is far from starving for money, even though he has the IRS problems, which I believe was part of the deal. I believe Al Heyman probably paid his tax debt, and that was part of bringing him in. Paying the tax debt, offering the fight to Mayweather, Manny said, let's go. But Manny's not hurting for money, right? But he loves fighting. And I know Manny's not afraid. People like me and people outside of the situation or whatever, even people I believe in his camp are like, man, Manny, I don't know about this fight. But I know that there's a thought that if there's a time to get Keith Thurman, it's right now, right? Because he didn't look great. He came off of a near 2-year layoff when he took on Josecito Lopez, and he looked okay early, but then got shaky. So people are thinking, oh, well, maybe Manny can get him. Thurman's had some problems with southpaws in the past. Luis Collazo nearly knocked him out with a body shot. I felt like Roy Jones Jr. when I said that. But, yeah. So there's this thought, right? There's this thought. So, but I don't know about it. I really don't know about it. And it's actually kind of scary. It's actually kind of scary for Manny. So I think it's a bad fight. I think it's a great fight for Thurman, though, because who else can he fight that's going to generate the type of payday that he's going to get from fighting Manny? And it's probably not a fight that he's especially afraid of, because he knows Manny's 40 and he's 30. Now I sound like the coach, the old football coach with the famous rant. Right on me, I'm 40. Oh my God, his name is slipping me right now. Gundiers. I forgot. I don't know who it is. But that is hilarious rant. But I mean, I think Thurman is really, this is a great fight for him. Boxing has become a sport that is about maximizing on your opportunities in terms of the risk. So you want the lowest risk and the highest reward. And this, to me, is exactly what this is for Thurman. So it's no shock to me. He wants to fight. So I mean, obviously I'll cover it. I'm gonna watch it. And I don't hate Thurman, so it's not like I want Thurman to lose. But it's a tough fight to me for a 40-year-old at this point in his career. Next up, we got another boxing topic. We got Errol Spence Jr. taking on Sean Porter. That also comes from a report from Mike Coppinger. He says that they look to be on a collision course because Spence wanted Pacquiao first. Pacquiao didn't seem too thrilled about it. And so now Porter had called him out. Porter wanted the fight. Spence actually demeaned Porter after he misused Mikey Garcia, which is drastically undersized fighter. After the fight, he said Sean Porter can't sell out a family dinner. So he didn't want to fight him. Well, it sounds like to me Errol Spence is going to need to call up his cousins, his uncles, his aunties, everybody, because he needs some more help selling out this family dinner because you're going to be at it, Errol. You're going to be at the family dinner. So I think the fight makes sense, though, because Errol Spence can feel as though he is above Sean Porter if he wants to. And from a talent standpoint, perhaps he is. You never know. Styles do make fights. It's not just about, oh, when you beat this guy and I lost to this guy, so I'm automatically going to beat you. Boxing doesn't work that way. Because a lot of people want to point to the fact that Porter lost to Kell Brook and Errol Spence beat him. Well, there's a lot of factors involved in that besides the fact that styles make fight. Porter fought a prime Kell Brook. Errol Spence fought a Kell Brook who was broken and mangled and dehydrated from a bad weight cut after he'd gone up to 160 pounds to fight Gennady Golovkin. It's a big difference. There was like a 3 to 4 year gap in between those fights. A lot can change for a fighter in 3 to 4 years. I don't think that Errol is. I'm not down on Errol Spence, but I'm not as up on him as everybody else because his resume really isn't all that impressive. The best fighter he's ever beat in terms of his particular matchup with them is the win over Kell Brook, and I just told you what state Kell Brook was in. The next best fighter he fought was a guy named Chris Van Eerden from South Africa, who is a really tough, skilled guy, but just doesn't quite have enough to beat a talented up-and-comer like what Errol Spence was. And then the next best fighter that Spence beat was an undersized Mikey Garcia who really had no business in the ring with him because he's just way too small. Errol hasn't beaten anybody yet. He really hasn't, right? And Porter has been in the ring with Thurman. He lost. It was a pretty close fight. In the ring with, of course, he lost a split decision. He lost because he lost his title the first time to Kell Brook. That was a split decision. He's beaten Danny Garcia. He's beaten Adrian Broner, which for whatever that's worth. He's beaten Adrian Granados. He just won a tough decision against Yordenis Ugas. He's beaten Devin Alexander, beat Paulie Malignaggi. He's beaten Andre Berto. I'm not trying to say his resume looks like he's Sugar Ray Leonard or something, but his resume, you can make a strong argument, is actually better than Errol Spence's. So I don't buy this, Errol Spence, I don't blame Errol Spence for going after Pacquiao. He went after Pacquiao for the same reason Thurman's wanting to fight him. It's a huge payday and not a big risk. I get it from a business standpoint. But this is a better fight for the sport, and this is a better fight for fans. This makes sense. Perhaps Errol Spence blows Sean Porter out of the water. Maybe he does. But nobody can say that this fight doesn't make sense. Errol Spence is the IBF welterweight champion. Sean Porter is the WBC welterweight champion. There's a process of unification that should go on in just about every single weight class. That's what this is. I'm for this fight. Whoever wins, is whoever wins. But this is a much better fight to me than Errol Spence against Pacquiao. So we'll see what happens. But that's what I got for you guys today. Tomorrow, I will have a live stream. I'm going to be gaming tomorrow. I'm going to be playing MLB The Show. I'm going to create Slim Pepper Jack. I told you it was coming. Also, I am going to start my fantasy franchise mode for MLB The Show using the Cubs, but I'm going to do a fantasy draft. Then I'm going to take about a break of about 2 hours. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to stream NBA 2K My Team. And I've been doing some work with my team because this is what I'm doing. I told y'all once I got to my collector level of captain and I was able to design my own uniforms, then I was just going to pretty much dilute my entire, not my entire collection. Essentially, get rid of every card on my team that is below a diamond. So all I wanted was diamonds and pink diamonds, and then I could get a Galaxy Opal at some point, hopefully. But that's what I've done for the most part. Like I still don't have enough players to have a full team of diamonds and pink diamonds, but I'm close. And I got a a pretty penny in terms of my team points for selling everybody. So I put up everybody I thought I could sell on an auction, and then if they didn't go, I quick sold them or whatever. I got a decent amount of MT. So my thought process is if you I almost looked at it like I was tanking, right? So if you're gonna tank in NBA 2K, my team, how do you tank, right? So, or how do you have a fire sale, almost like in baseball? So I sold, like I said, everybody who wasn't a diamond and up, and I got all the MT for that. And then I figured if I put down some actual dough and get, the 450,000 VC, you got 450,000 VC to open packs, and then you got this chunk of my team points that I was able to get from my collection, and I can use that to just go and get whatever pink diamonds or whoever I want to buy on the auction house. I think that sets me up to do some serious things. I think that sets me up to do some serious things, and I think it allows me to fill the gaps pretty well. So, yes, I am looking forward to that. Yes, 1989 OSFM rosters are supposed to come later on this week. I'm looking forward to it. We'll see what, Mike Gundy was the guy. That's the one. So I appreciate everybody watching. We will not have this problem next week in terms of the mic, or whenever I do this again. It won't be next week. It might actually be tomorrow, as a matter of fact, because I'm going to try to do this as much as possible. So, as I said, I appreciate everybody watching. God bless and peace.